get to ask them about assignments, and you get to kind of, it's a little bit of inside knowledge on the assignment designing process, and you get to ask questions about the assignments so that you get to be more effective when people ask you questions about assignments. Because a lot of times people come in here without an assignment sheet, and they'll be like, well, I want to work on my paper, and the teacher said it had to be blank. And then you're like, and in your head, sometimes you're like, that doesn't make sense, that's can't be right, but that's what you have to work with. So you kind of have this insider knowledge to how the assignment is, and you know what the teacher's looking for, so you can be a better guide towards answering those questions. And the third thing that's cool is you actually learn a lot about a class while sitting in on it. And you don't have to take tests, and you don't have to do any of that, so you just kind of get to like hang out and absorb knowledge, which I think is cool. So like, I learned something about packaging, which was interesting, and plus I was able to help people with writing along the way. So this is kicking off next year in the fall, and I would recommend it if you guys are even interested in something like that. It's something that you think about, because it's a lot of fun, and you get to sit in on a class, and there's usually like 3 other mentors with you, and you kind of have a different role. You're usually in charge of, not in charge, but you have like 15 to 20 people that kind of come to you through writing throughout the year, and it's a different schedule in the sense that, like, usually how it works is you get paid for 10 hours of work, and 1 week you might work 5 hours, and then 1 week you might work 12 hours, and so it's just kind of, it's different. But does anybody have any questions? Is that a good explanation? Yeah?
Yeah.
Does it sound interesting? It should. It's really cool. So now I'm gonna, like I said, the writing mentor thing is one of my research interests, and that came from taking 395, which is the class you're in, and really helped me out big time in the sense that I think because of 395 I'm going to grad school next year, and because of this class, and because I took my job as in the Writing Center seriously and took advantage of all the opportunities that we have here, I got into grad school. And it's going to be, you know, it's going to, so, and I have an assistantship and that kind of stuff. So, this is a good job, and you should take it very seriously, because if you take your job seriously, there's a lot of opportunities that this place can give you that are different than other jobs. And I just want to talk to you about that. One is, take your assignment seriously. You guys are going to be doing an assignment where you do a literary review about a thing, and then you have to find another article, and then you kind of have to compare them. And what I did for mine was I just kind of heard about these fellows programs, which is what writing mentors are called. It was what our writing mentor program is, and I just kind of did that, and then because I found it interesting, and then from there I decided to do an independent study with our director about writing mentor programs, and from there another independent study, and I presented at 2 conferences about writing mentor programs, just because I kind of took this assignment seriously. Does that make sense? So yeah, another thing is the blogs that you're doing, take those really seriously, because those blogs are, not only do they put a good amount of information on the website, but they also can be insight to how the Writing Center process works, what it's like to be a tutor, and some of those things. Some of those that can spark conversation and change and things like that. So those blogs are, they're for a grade, but they're also there for the public. So keep that in mind when you're blogging, that those can be really cool things. Another thing that I'd really recommend is continue to learn once you're out of the class. And when I say that is, when you're working here, there's going to be a lot of times when people will cancel appointments, and you just are sitting around for an hour. And it's easy to do homework, but what I know, and I've done homework before too, I'm not saying don't do homework during that time, but there's also times when you can read an article, or you can learn how to do something that will make you a better tutor. And I spent time during some of my, we call it professional development time, is when you don't have an appointment but you're still on the writing center time. And if you take that time and use it effectively, you can become a better tutor, but you can also discover new things that you want to do. Another thing is attend conferences. Is anyone thinking about grad school here? Not even a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not, or if you are, attending conferences is a really cool way to get an inside look to the world of academia and see. How are we doing on time?
You're doing good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You can get an inside look on academia, and during one of my independent studies, I did my first conference, and it was really scary, but it ended up being really cool to kind of see how that worked, and just, I don't know, and it kind of felt good too to like put time into something and hear what you have to say, and then you can kind of further the writing center in that way. If you're interested in writing centers at some level, I would encourage you to think about an independent study with someone, and where you can. Has anyone ever done an independent study? They're really cool. There are also pitfalls with independent studies because there's no class time, so you have to do it yourself, and that's scary. It was scary for me to have to organize my time.
So how do you initiate the project, or how does that work?
The way it worked with me is after my 395 class, when I wrote that paper about fellows programs, I talked to Trixie, who was my teacher at the time, who's the director. Have you guys met Trixie yet? Okay, you'll meet Trixie someday.
Yeah, she'll be invited for when we were in North Arkansas.
Yeah. And I talked with her, and the Writing Mentor program, we were thinking about starting one, so kind of me doing an independent study about those would be beneficial for the Writing Center, and would be beneficial for me. Also, talk to Scott, because Scott can help you out in that area. Think about, I mean, an independent study is a serious thing, so you have to have like a real interest in the topic for it to work, because if you kind of don't, then it's going to be hard to schedule time for yourself to do the work. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Diana, I mean, another good way to think about independent studies is Diana's working on Second Life and things like that, and if that really interests you, maybe an independent study would be a good option where you can learn more about Second Life and online consulting in that way. Yeah, and another thing is think about those unique tutoring opportunities. If you are good with digital things, try and become a digital consultant, and because you're not gonna, I do some digital consulting. I'm a digital consultant, but I'd say 90% of my appointments are non-digital. So it's really interesting to deal with those digital products when they do arise. Writing mentors, things like that. Online consulting with Second Life. Have you guys played around Second Life? Yeah. So those unique tutoring opportunities are going to teach you a few different things than normal tutoring will, which I know is weird to say because you guys really haven't done normal tutoring yet, but they're kind of fun. And like I said, this writing center position has done a lot of good for me because I didn't take it lightly. It's not another job. So, I mean, you're going to get paid, and you're going to get to help people with writing, which is its own thing, but if you take advantage of the opportunities that exist in the Writing Center other than just consulting, it'll open doors, and it'll be a good thing. That's all I really have to say. Do you have anything else you want me to talk about? Or you guys have any questions about any of that stuff?